My mom was just in the room right next door to me, so that's why I was being all quiet. But I was going to say, hey guys, today we're gonna be reacting to some God's Life pranks, and maybe react to one of my boyfriend's videos. And this is the surprise video for yesterday, December 20th, Christmas Day yesterday, December 25th, 2019. This was the video, this is going to be the surprise video. So let's go on over to his channel. Not Creeper Night, but Mini Night. Yes, Mini Night. There's one video with me in it. Well, there's actually Pilot Principal, Evil Nurse Slug Revenge, the update video, and that was it. Let's watch the update video, which I don't like.
Hello!
The reason I don't like this video that much is because he was supposed to ask if I wanted to be in the video. And if I said no, I said no. I really need him to ask me first. I would have been happy if he asked me, but no. He just put me in his video, and that kind of made me a bit mad. It really did. It kind of made me mad. But it's okay. I go over it. Not really. But let's just watch the video.
Hello, viewers. Midnight here with Ashley Rabbit.
Oh, I hate it. It makes me cringe so much. I don't like cringy videos. This has never been one of my. I just don't like cringy videos. I don't. I never will. I hate cringy videos. Like videos that make me cringe, I hate. I just hate cringy videos. Like videos that make me want to cringe, I hate.
Okay, Ashley Drowned. Check out both of our channels. And don't forget to check out my old channel, Creep.
Yeah, no, let's just stop watching that video. Let's watch this one.
Hello, YouTubers. Welcome to the EchoNet. Yes, I had to make that pun. I'm from the video game I'm from, Borderlands 3. I'm a Santa from Borderlands 3 with my trusty axe. And next up and I'm a psycho. And next up for the costume display for Halloween, which I was also going to Halloween this, is my little brother. Go on in.
He's the rake!
Since he won't speak, I'll tell you what he is and where he's from. He is a creepypasta named The Rake. So, that's pretty much it. Now enjoy the mini movie, alright? Enjoy! enjoy the Connect. Hello.
I paused the video because I need to do something. And yes, I do. And yes, I did get new nail polish and new fake nails. I did make a video on it because it's just gonna be me unboxing stuff. But when it comes to toys and all that stuff, I box twice my second channel. But when it comes to reaction videos, first channel, Gosh Life stuff, first channel. Vlogs and update videos, stuff like that, that's gonna be on my second channel. But I need to post more on my second channel and quit uploading like vlogs to my first channel. I need to quit doing that. So let's just start.
I'm out hunting for exotic monsters with my trusty axe, which does fire damage. Wait, what's that? Stay back, or I'll chop your head in the middle of it. Bye.
Did you just do that?
It's dead.
Can Alan even breathe in that?
The wraith is now dead. Thanks to me. Featuring Mini Knight, me, and my little brother. You can open that story so they can see my face. No, they don't have to. I want them to. Okay. Sorry guys, I can't take off this mask.
Ew. If we just stare at the wreath long enough, if I stare at Alvin's costume long enough, it gives me the creeps. Ugh. It literally gives me the creeps. It literally gives me the creeps. But I just stare, because if you look at the Rake's face, he has teeth. Ugh. I don't like it. It creeps me out. I just don't. But it's not one of my pet peeves. Since it's creepypasta, I love it. Let's go back to that part.
Okay. Sorry guys, I can't take off this mask. Okay. That's my little brother and Creeper.
If you didn't know this, me and Simon have been dating for 13 months now, so a year and 1 month. And that's the longest I've ever been with someone. Because when it came to Jaden Cantrell, me and him had a quick relationship, and that was it. Then came me and Bradley Childers, not that long either. But when it comes to me and 13 months. 1 year and 1 month. 13 months. And I'm proud. Today, I'm proud to have him in my life. He's literally my everything.
Mini Knight here. It's warm in this thing. You hate it. And here's an actual echo.
I also wanted to listen to that noise because my ring yells air barrel. And my ring yells. Let's see if someone will answer my call. song.
This night is cold in the kingdom. I can feel you fade away. From the kitchen to the bathroom sinking. Your steps keep me awake. Don't cut me down, throw me out, leave me here to waste. I once was a man with dignity and grace. Now I'm slipping through the cracks of your cold embrace. So please, please, could you find a way to let me down slowly? A little sympathy, I hope you can show me. If you wanna go, then I'll be so lonely. If you're leaving, baby, let me down slowly. Let me down, down, let me down, down, let me down, let me down, down, let me down, down, let me down. If you wanna go, then I'll be so lonely. If you're leaving, baby, let me down slowly. Cold spring, drag my feet on the tile as I'm walking down the corridor. And I know we haven't talked in a while, so I'm looking for an open door. Don't cut me down, throw me out, leave me in a waste. I once was a man with dignity and grace. Now I'm slipping through the cracks of your cold embrace. So please, please, could you find a way to let me down slowly? A little sympathy, I hope you can show me. If you wanna go, then I'll be so lonely. If you're leaving, baby, let me down slowly. Let me down, down, let me down, down, let me down, let me down, down, let me down, down, let me down. If you wanna go, then I'll be so lonely. If you're leaving, baby, let me down slowly. And I can't stop myself from falling. 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 Could you find a way to let me down slowly? A little sympathy, I hope you can show me. If you wanna go, then I'll be so lonely. If you're leaving, baby, let me down slowly. Let me down, down, let me down, down, let me down, down, let me down, down, let me down. If you wanna go, then I'll be so lonely. If you're leaving, baby, let me down slowly. If you wanna go, then I'll be so lonely. If you're leaving, baby, let me down slowly.
Hi, I'm Masahiro Sakurai. Today I'd like to introduce you to the new Super Smash Bros. Game for the Nintendo Switch. Many fighters have appeared in the series. I'm sure you're all eager to find out who will be joining the roster this time. Please, take a look. Welcome to Game Theory, the William Afton of YouTube.
I always come back.
So here's something crazy. You know how every FNAF game tends to have 5 main nights, a bonus 6th night that gets you more lore hints, and then a challenge mode 7th night where you customize all the animatronics? Well, look at the games. We have 5 main games bearing the 5 nights title, a bonus 6th game that was mostly for lore, and now a 7th standalone release where you customize the animatronics. The game releases directly mirror the gameplay. Either Scott is a mad genius, or I'm thinking about things way too hard.
You try to read into every little thing and find meaning in everything anyone says, you'll just drive yourself crazy.
I heard you last time, Mr. Hippo. But guess what, you Barney reject? Reading into every little thing is the only way to have this series make any sort of sense whatsoever. Case in point, today's episode. With the final novel out and Ultimate Custom Night picked to shreds, it finally feels like the story of FNAF is at its end. Or at least the Afton storyline is at its end. The series will probably come back to tell another story in the same universe later. I mean, it's exactly what Scott did with FNAF 4, the quote-unquote final chapter, of the original FNAF story. I see what you did there, Scotty. It's the final chapter of the original story. But oh no, friends, he wasn't done. He even ended that teaser with a question mark if you brighten that screen up enough. Man, Scott, you really wanted to leave the door open for more games in this series, didn't ya? You were milking it more than I was. Or, I guess we're both milkmaids at the teat of Freddy Fazcow. Anyway, as they say in FNAF World, the pieces are in place for us. So it's time to take one final step back and put every single one of those pieces together into this, my final timeline for the final FNAF game. Though, let me save you some work. If you brighten the image you see on screen right now, you'll see that there's a question mark there, since, you know,
I always come back.
and if he comes back, well, I gotta pull myself a Samurai Freddy and pursue the anime Fox of Truth wherever it may lead. Let's do this. Now, putting together a final timeline of events for this series is incredibly challenging and requires us covering a lot of really minute details from literally every element the series has ever released. This is my longest, most involved theory in 7 years, covering every square inch of the series. So fair warning that this episode is not for the faint of heart. It is extreme. A way for me to simultaneously flex my knowledge of the minutiae of this series, all while trying to come up with a satisfactory answer to pretty much every question it has ever thrown our way. And of course, there are some questions that don't have clean answers, which I'll be calling out for you as I go. So for those of you who want to take the challenge and attempt a timeline on your own, let me first explain my thought process. As I was writing this episode, there are 3 hard and fast rules that I applied. First, it's important to note that I put greater emphasis on information that was released more recently in the series. While, yes, everything in the series is important, by FNAF 4 and even more so Sister Location, we can assume that Scott had a complete picture of the story in his mind. It's easy to forget that FNAF 1 was going to be Scott's final game after years of trying to be a game designer and hitting dead ends. Do you really think that he imagined a lore so deep that it would cover 8 games, 5 books, and countless teasers? That he predicted his story would be so massively popular that it would involve undead purple people way back when we were all just making memes about Foxy, Swiggity, Swooty coming for that booty? Probably not. So it's safe to assume that the newest information we're getting in the games is the most accurate in pointing to the final story he's looking to tell. So that's rule number 1. Rule number 2, adhering to key dates and events. Now, there isn't much that's certain in this story, which means that the things we do know must serve as fixed points that the other details fit around. We know for a fact from FNAF 1 phone calls that the animatronics are allowed to walk around freely until the bite of 87. We know from FNAF 3 calls that the golden springlock suits are eventually retired to a back room after a tragedy at a sister location, the FNAF 4 bite, which itself takes place in 1983. FNAF 3 also tells us that at some point William Afton tries to dismantle the robots, whose spirits rebel, causing him to become Springtrap, eventually getting himself sealed up behind a wall until the workers at Fazbear Fright discover his body and set him loose again. Details like those have to be our guideposts if we're having any hopes of getting anywhere in the story. And lastly, rule number 3, realizing that this isn't just a simple linear timeline. It's clearly established in the games that multiple Fazbear locations exist at the same time, and that the events in one affect what happens in other locations. For proof, just look at Phone Guy in FNAF 3.
Welcome to your new career as a performer/entertainer for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Right now, we have 2 specially designed suits that double as both animatronic and suit. After learning of an unfortunate incident at the sister location involving multiple and simultaneous spring lock failures, the company has deemed the suit temporarily unfit for employees.
This not only tells us that the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizza had 2 golden suits, but also that the first Freddy's was open at the same time as the FNAF 4 Freddy's. The spring lock failure in the FNAF 4 location prompted the yellow suits to be retired in the FNAF 1 location. In short, a lot of these events overlap. Restaurants often stay open for years beyond what we see in the games, and everything weaves together in a way that's much more complicated than simply saying, this restaurant opened, kids died, it closed. The next one opened, kids died again, it closed. confused. In all honesty, I suppose you could simplify it to that level, but we're not going to! I am holding myself to a higher standard. A slightly higher standard, but a higher standard nonetheless. So with those three logical rules in place, let's get analyzing. To begin, we have to identify who William's first victim was. Now, I've covered FNAF a lot, but in all my theories, one thing has remained consistent since FNAF 2, that the puppet was first. Henry's daughter. She is the character who gives life to all the other animatronics, so it would just make sense for her to be victim numero uno. But outside of that, it's always been just an assumption. And now that we've seen the event actually take place in the games, I think I've been wrong about it this entire time. Think about it. We have proof that William kills Henry's daughter in FNAF 6, but as I talked about in a previous theory, we see that later that night, Afton goes to a place called Junior's where he's turned away at the door. Now, why would Scott show us this? FNAF 6 was all about tying up loose ends. He's not just gonna throw in a random bar to establish that the Mustard Man is an alcoholic or anything. He's doing it to establish a timeline. The only time we hear of anyone being turned away from any building for any reason in this series is in FNAF 2.
From what I understand, the building is on lockdown. No one is allowed in or out, especially concerning any previous employees.
And the name Juniors makes sense in Scott's classic way of giving us clues that are meant to clarify things, but really just end up confusing all of us. Remember, FNAF 2's location is the grand reopening, a second Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria location, a junior location, if you will. And lastly, to further solidify the puppet coming later in the timeline, remember why Freddy's closed in the first place. It wasn't due to murders or animatronics going haywire. According to the FNAF 1 newspapers, people just got weirded out by a place where kids disappeared. Quote, after a long struggle to stay in business after the tragedy that took place there many years ago, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza has announced that it'll close by year's end. End quote. This all means that the missing children's incident where 5 kids go missing at a Freddy Fazbear's Pizza must be the first event of the timeline. William Afton uses the Spring Bonnie suit to lure 5 kids to the back employees-only safe rooms that we hear about in FNAF 3, hiding their dead bodies in the animatronic suits. We can even figure out the order of who was killed when based on clues hidden in Ultimate Custom Night. We know with 100% certainty that Chica was first based on one of her death lines.
I was the first. I have seen everything.
That's about as explicit as you get with these games. From a storytelling standpoint, I hate that Chica's first because it really should have been Golden Freddy, so he could be the first spirit killed and the final spirit to haunt Afton in Custom Night, but whatever. Chica, aka Susie, is death number 1. She's lured away by Afton, telling her that her dog died. We see it in FNAF 6's Fruity Maze. We also read about it in the 4th closet. Quote, beside them was a little girl with blonde curls. I heard Daddy say he was hit by a car, but I knew it wasn't true. Bonnie told me it wasn't true. He said he found my puppy. And did he take you to your puppy? He took me, but I don't remember. My name's Susie. We even hear about it in the Chica anime cutscenes from Custom Night.
I told him that someone ran over his dog in front of my house.
Jeez, Scott, I know we were all looking for answers, but man, you beat that one over the head, didn't ya? Not that I'm complaining, but that one was a bit overly obvious, and then all the other ones are just so damn obscure. Just gotta find a better balance here, man. From there, we know that 4 other kids get taken and stuffed into suits. We know their names based on the gravestones at the end of FNAF 6. Gabriel, Fritz, Jeremy, and Grass. Hey, who are we to judge what other people name their kids? Probably some celebrity's kid. Oh, you must meet my children. This is Apple, Audio Science, and Grass. All joking aside, though, loyal theorists will remember this last grave was giving me a lot of trouble during a past theory. You see, this book, the FNAF Survival Logbook, holds a ton of reveals about the franchise, but they're all hidden in code. Some I was able to deduce, some left me stumped. But a few hours after releasing my video covering the book, the mystery was solved by the brilliant deduction of game theorist subreddit user DPowerful1. DPowerful1 used the numbers that I had found, 52, 39, 15, 7, 2, 10, 11, 8, and 11, and put them not into an alphabet grid for ciphers like I'd been doing and like the book was clearly hinting towards, but instead put them into the word search, of all places. Using the numbers as coordinates in the word search, you could spell the name Cassidy, a name that must belong to Golden Freddy based on the repeated use of Golden Freddy's signature line of "It's me" throughout the book, the gravestone imagery which lines up with the 5th mystery gravestone at the end of FNAF 6, and a mention of Cassidy in the final FNAF novel, The 4th Closet. innocent. And that would be more than enough proof, but it's not all. In the novel, Cassidy is described as a girl with black hair. And what do we see in the logbook? The puppet giving cake to a little girl with black hair. The only human child in the logbook, no less. And it's happening on a page talking about your happiest day. A direct reference to the happiest day minigame from FNAF 3, where the puppet gives cake to Golden Freddy in an effort to release its soul. You can even hear a girlish laugh every time Golden Freddy is summoned way back in FNAF 1. Literally everything about this reveal lines up. Everything, of course, except for the pronoun of he being used to talk about the one you should not have killed throughout Custom Night, which, as we established last episode, is referring to Golden Freddy. But consider this, Golden Freddy is a male character. He's Freddy Fazbear, he's Fredbear, regardless of the spirit that possesses it. So the gender confusion works here. Scott even used that to his advantage in the casting call, where he was specifically looking for auditions where, quote, the gender should not be immediately clear. It should work as either a young boy or a young girl. FNAF, teaching kids that gender is fluid, but only if you spend 4 years picking apart its obscure lore. Yeah, by the way, FNAF is 4 years old this August. It's crazy, right? Wow, I've been doing this for a long time. The last thing to say about Golden Freddy is proving that he gets possessed here, at the first Freddy Fazbear Pizza location rather than in FNAF 4 like most of us have assumed in the past. You see, in Ultimate Custom Night, you get an item called a Death Coin that can eliminate one animatronic from the game. But if you use it on Golden Freddy, you don't eliminate him from the game, you just get jump scared by Fredbear, and then hear some strange sounds. It almost sounds like Fredbear is underwater, which we all know is going to be terrible for those spring locks. Anyway, I played around with those audio files and got him to hear. Laughter, obviously. Let's find a suit that's right for you. And there was more fantasy and fun where I came from. That last one feels really random, right? Like, I'm an angry spirit who just killed you, but let me tell you about my love of fantasy, fairies, and long walks on the beach first. I'm very in touch with my emotions. However, the phrase fantasy and fun is a direct reference to the first game in the franchise, where Phone Guy welcomes you to
Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, a magical place for kids and grown-ups alike, where fantasy and fun come to life.
It's Scott telling us that Golden Freddy is the same spirit who speaks to the crying child via the Fredbear plush at the end of FNAF 4, but who dates all the way back to the first pizzeria and the missing children's incident. Phew, you got all that? Good, because that's the easy stuff. Well, not easy, obviously, considering I'm on page 4 of this script and I've only just talked about the first event in the series. But there is consistent logic and evidence to back it all up. However, it's at this point that things get messy from a timeline standpoint. You see, right now there are two dangling threads of events that directly conflict with each other. One, the first Freddy Fazbear location has to close so it can reopen sometime before 1987. However, it has to remain open at least until 1983 when the FNAF 4 bite happens, the event that prompts Phone Guy to call back to the FNAF 1 location informing them that the Springlock suits are being retired.
Welcome to your new career as a performer/entertainer for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Right now we have two specially designed suits that double as both animatronic and suit. After learning of an unfortunate incident at the sister location involving multiple and simultaneous Springlock failures, the company has deemed the suits temporarily unfit for employees.
This is important because Phone Guy later makes a point of saying that the Spring Bonnie suit is still being moved.
Management has also been made aware that the Spring Bonnie animatronic has been noticeably moved,
Which implies that Afton is still using it to kill kids, aka the missing children's incident is still going on even after the bite of 1983. That would all be fine except for point number 2. According to Hand Unit and Sister location, Circus Baby's Pizza World is opened after Freddy Fazbear's is closed.
Due to the massive success, and even more so the unfortunate closing of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, it was clear that the stage was set, no pun intended, for another contender in children's entertainment.
Again, this wouldn't be a problem if it wasn't for the empty girl's bedroom that we see in FNAF 4. As we established in a previous episode using the FNAF survival logbook, the crying child is Michael Afton, which would make this his sister's room, Elizabeth Afton, the girl who gets herself clawed and goes on to possess Baby on the opening day of Baby's Pizzeria That's why she's missing and why her room is empty. But that can't happen if Freddy's is still open. And Freddy's can't be closed until the bite of 83 causes the spring locks to be retired so that phone guy can make his call. You see the problem there? Do you understand why creating a timeline of all this stuff is so darn complicated? Anyway, to move forward, we have to apply rule number 1 that I talked about earlier and throw out some of the phone guy information in order for the events to work. Freddy Fazbear's first location closes in the aftermath of the missing children's incident. With no pizzeria to serve as his murder den, Afton tries to launch a new restaurant, Circus Baby's Pizza World. It's important to note that this is an actual restaurant and not the underground rental service you see in Sister Location. We'll get to that one much later. Based on the name, we can be confident that this place has a clown aesthetic, which makes it likely that all the animatronics who don't fit into the Freddy Fazbear series of restaurants were made specifically for this place. The Mini Renas, Balloon Boy, JJ, Dee Dee, and of course, the star attraction, Baby. Notice how they all even look alike. However, on day 1 of the restaurant opening, Elizabeth, Afton's daughter, finds herself alone with Baby and gets herself clawed. We know that it's closed on day 1, both from Baby's story and Sister Location.
Did you know that I was on stage once? It wasn't for very long. Only one day.
And from this hidden news story about a supposed gas leak posted on Scott's website in the lead up to the release of the game. This in turn explains a lot of the weirdness going on in FNAF 4. Why Elizabeth's room is empty. Why Michael Afton has nightmares of animatronics with stomach mouths. And why William locks Michael in his room and has so many surveillance cameras following him around. He doesn't want what happened to his daughter to also happen to his youngest son. You see why it's so important for Circus Baby's Pizza World to happen before the events of FNAF 4? Before 1983? A lot of pieces fit in place if it does. Anyway, in the aftermath of the tragedy, he buries Baby and most of the other humanoid characters underground in a facility that we'll eventually explore in Sister Location. The rest go on to the new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, which is set to reopen. But first, running parallel to all of this, and I mean all of it, is Fredbear's Family Diner. Not the sister location we visit in the game Sister Location, but the only sister location actually called a sister location by Phone Guy during his FNAF 3 calls about spring locks.
An unfortunate incident at the sister location.
We know for a fact that Fredbear's Family Diner is the FNAF 4 location based on this purple hat teaser that came out with the release of the game. Right in the image, look down at the bottom right-hand corner and fill in the blanks and you get yourself property of Fredbear's Family Diner. We also know that it should fit here in the timeline because of one small detail that Scott made note of with the release of FNAF 4's Halloween edition. While Nightmare Puppet and Nightmare Mangle weren't canon, he made it clear that Nightmare Balloon Boy was. Now, if I'm right about Circus Baby's Pizza World and the red-cheeked design of its characters, then the crying child would have come across Balloon Boy. He existed at this point in the timeline. But because both the puppet and Mangle don't exist until the FNAF 2 location, neither of them would be appearing in his nightmares. Therefore, not canon. Therefore, the timeline continues to make sense. So at this point, we know how the story goes. William is working there as what appears to be a suit technician. Michael Afton, aka the crying child, has witnessed his friends and maybe even his sister get killed. I mean, he's even locked in the supply closet with what appears to be the body of Golden Freddy.
Safety is top priority at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, which is why the classic suits are being retired to an appropriate location while being looked at by our technician.
At the end of the week, at his birthday party, he gets shoved into Fredbear's mouth by his brother, and crunch! He dead, son! The spirits of his dead friends, all 5 of them, remind them that they're still here for him, and the whole incident goes down in history as the bite of 83, based on both the TV Easter egg in FNAF 4 and the code in Sister Location's secret room. But again, it's here that we hit another little wrinkle. You see, in the FNAF survival logbook, it asks Michael whether his favorite ride was the carousel, a feature that was only present in the FNAF 2 restaurant. This also coincides with my hypothesis earlier about the Midnight Motorist minigame and Junior's being another name for Freddy's version 2. It would make sense that that place that he's going to is indeed him running out to the new Freddy Fazbear's location. But we know Michael gets bit in 1983 and that the FNAF 2 location is open in 1987 based on the paychecks you see in the game. Fortunately, though, there's an elegant solution this time. The FNAF 2 location is just open earlier than we thought. Remember, Fredbear's Family Diner being open doesn't preclude a new Freddy's location from also being open at the same time. The new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria is just open earlier than we all thought, at least as early as 1983, and continuing through 1987 when a new series of murders happens and the bite of 87 gets it closed down. This all allows Michael to visit that place again, have the carousel be his favorite, but still die in 1983. Because William doesn't want to lose another child, especially since he's in his own killing spree, he puts security cameras everywhere and uses the illusion sound discs first introduced in the Twisted Ones novel to scare Michael away from the restaurant. That's what he means by, he'll be sorry when he gets back. William is intentionally locking him in his room, giving him nightmares, hence why Michael is so scared by the time we see him in FNAF 4. Additionally, Ultimate Custom Night proves that the nightmare animatronics are just that, nightmares, illusions.
This time, there is more than an illusion to fear. I am given flesh to be your tormentor.
Both these lines indicate that before, they were just an illusion, they had no flesh. But now, in the latest game, they are real. So contrary to popular belief, these things were never real animatronics. Just a glorified way for William to keep his son away from his murder locations. Except, obviously, it didn't work. Despite his best, well, maybe not his best, but definitely his most stalkerish efforts, Michael gets crunched and dies. A fact that becomes very problematic for the timeline, considering that Michael Afton clearly survives till the end of the games. We see him in Sister Location. We watch him get scooped. We hear about him burning in FNAF 6. How is all of that possible if he's already dead? Surprisingly, there is a way to solve it, and I have the evidence to prove it, but sadly it'll have to wait until next time. This ended up being a 12-page script, which there's no way that we can do all in 1 week. So in the words of Dee Dee, how unfortunate, how unfortunate. This is a thing I hate to do, but the rest has to go in a part 2. Anyway, don't worry, we'll get it out as fast as possible. It's already written. I just need to divide this.
B7. N38.
Articles of clothing, a pop socket, which, if you're not familiar with them, is the single most useful phone device that you will ever own. Hate dropping your phone on your face at night? Well, now you don't have to. You want to prop up that phone to binge watch some FNAF theories? Pop that socket. You want an easier way to take photos? Sock it to me. Get two and you wrap your headphone cord around it. Seriously, these things are the best. They're so darn simple and they are so effective. And what back-to-school collection would be complete without your own Theorist Moleskin notebook? Now, I know from meeting you all at conventions that so many of you are either artists, writers, or theorists of your own looking for notebooks to house your ideas. So this was something that I thought a lot of you would appreciate. It even comes complete with some pages ripped straight out of my own theory brainstorms. All of it works great, it looks great, but most importantly of all, it's gonna make you feel great. So get on it. Ace your back-to-school look right now by heading over to the merch site. It went live with this episode. Or you can always wait to the end of the episode where I can throw that link right into the video itself, or you can always dual-wield the windows next to each other so you can do both at the same time. The only thing I gotta say is do it now, because when we run out, this stuff is gone. Everything is limited edition, and the last round of merch we had, some stuff started to sell out in the first 24 hours. If you place an order this week, you're guaranteed to get it before the end of the month, so go ahead, give it a look. I hope you like what you see, and I cannot wait to see you sporting some new Game Theory green. Now then, let's wrap up FNAF, shall we? Even though this is part 2 of the timeline, we've still got a lot to cover, so in the words of Phil DeFranco,
Let's just jump into it.
when last we left things, we'd covered everything up through the second Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria location. Things like why the missing children's incident must be the first event of the timeline, the identity of Golden Freddy, why Circus Baby's Pizza World has to come earlier in the timeline than most people expect, and a quick review over how Michael Afton is the crying child from FNAF 4. But all of that left us with a big question. If Michael Afton is the crying child who gets himself bit, then how is he able to come back later in the
I'll be right back, guys.